For more than 40 years, East Tennesseans have trusted Madisonville Marine. They offer great prices, terrific customer service, and the biggest selection of boats in the area. Boats like the G3 Sportsman, featuring sturdy construction and superior features. These perfect fishing boats were designed with wide deck space, plenty of storage, and a smart layout. And they also deliver more fun per gallon than anything else on the water. See for yourself at Madisonville Marine. There's no better place to buy a boat.
The following is a presentation of Fox 43 Sports.
You are watching the Sports Source Kickoff with John Pennington, presented by Madisonville Marine.
Good Saturday morning. We appreciate you being here. It's an open date on the Sports Source Kickoff presented by Madisonville Marine. The good news on that, Tennessee can't lose today. So it's a good Saturday already. We're going to talk about the situation at Tennessee. No moves were made this week, obviously. Is that a good thing, bad thing? We'll take a look at how Tennessee could have lost 41-0 to Georgia. We'll compare some talent. I think you'll be interested in seeing that. And then also, is there a path to survival for Butch Jones? If so, what is it? That's all coming up on today's show. Our first segment right here brought to you by Madisonville Marine, the founders of the Feast on this show. One of the things that makes them so special is they offer this huge selection. I mean, it's like the biggest boat dealer in the states and states and states. And yet, they still provide one-on-one, top-quality customer service. It's like a family business when you deal with those guys. Joe Special, Steve Sloan, the whole team. That's why boat buyers have been returning to Madisonville Marine for more than 40 years. That's a heck of a track record. So when I tell you there's no better place to buy a boat, folks, there's no better place to buy a boat. Madisonville Marine. All right. I want to welcome in the panel today. We have Jimmy Himes from WNML AM and FM. VFL LaMarcus Thompson right there, former team captain and linebacker for the Vols. And from WNML AM and FM right down there, Vince Farrar. Thanks, guys, for being with us. We said on Sunday, don't expect a move this week on Butch Jones. There wasn't one. There have been some folks in the Tennessee fan base, loud folks, saying, do it now, do it now, do it now. You've had some in the national media who've said, do it now, do it now, do it now. Has Tennessee made a mistake in not making a move in the head coaching job this week with the open date?
No, I don't think so, John. People feel like, well, you got to make a move, and therefore that gives you a head start on going out and hiring that next coach. And if you want to revisit that, let's take a look at what happened at LSU. LSU fires Les Miles 4 games in. They go after Jimbo Fisher, can't get him. They go after Herman, can't get him. And they wind up with Ed Orgeron. So how'd that work out? There aren't many situations that I've seen where firing a head coach 5 games in or 2 games in or whatever led you to hiring a great coach. And so I don't think so. I just think it would be an overreaction.
You can go back to Tennessee when they made a move on Philip Fulmer mid-year, and you wind up getting Lane Kiffin, who was going to be there regardless. So, right now, if you made the move, there's only one guy to talk to. It's not like you can go talk to other coaches. So you're starting your search with Chip Kelly, who everybody's in love with.
Or Les Miles.
Or Les Miles. You can go talk to Les Miles, I guess. Or, dare I say, Paul Feinbaum started it, John Gruden, which I'm telling you, folks, don't believe the Gruden stuff, please. Vince, I want to get your take first, and then we'll go to LaMarcus. But your thoughts on whether Tennessee should have or should not have made a move this week?
Yeah, I agree with Jimmy. There is no track record of beating everyone to the elite coaches, and you could probably even throw Bob Stoops into that category. But what is the likelihood that he's going to leave a college football playoff contender in Oklahoma and then jump back in to Tennessee in the middle of the year? I mean, that's really highly unlikely. I just don't think that it benefits you that much. I think it's the right move to continue on the season, try to salvage it through the bye week, and then if you need to make a move afterwards, then you can do it at a timely fashion when you probably have a larger group of more realistic candidates out there.
I think it also allows you to, you give somebody enough rope, is the old saying. I think you'll look better in other coaches' eyes firing a guy if he's 3-4 than you would firing a guy who's 3-2 and could still technically could still go 10-2 on the season. I just think letting it play out doesn't hurt you. I don't believe it doesn't hurt you in talking to candidates. It doesn't throw you behind the 8 ball in any way. And one thing it also does, I think, for you, What happened if you do make that move? Speaking of Ed Orgeron, you make that move, you put in a interim that you don't want to be the next head coach, but he goes on some sort of great run. All of a sudden now you've got a team saying, well, we want Brady Hoke or whoever they would make as their interim. I don't think Tennessee wants to fool with that. So I think the later you make that decision, the better off. LaMarcus, from a player's perspective, a coach change in the middle of the year. Now, there's rumors about this team and its chemistry. There always are when a team loses. But how do you think that would impact this year's squad if something like that happened mid-year? Some teams respond to it, others don't. From your knowledge of locker rooms, and you played under Fulmer, Kiffin, and Dooley.
I've been to the ringer.
That's right. So in your background, what do you think the impact would be if you made a change mid-year with this team?
Well, basically what I think is it wouldn't be good for the team chemistry, simply because if you go into the locker room when a coach leaves, of course, everybody's going to be looking at each other like, well, what do we do next? That's going to be the big deal, and that's kind of how it was when we had Fulmer. That's kind of how it was when we had Kiffin. You didn't know what was going to happen next, and so that kind of messes up your team chemistry and what goes on in the locker room. And then you have guys that don't really want to play anymore. So you're going to have those guys that are going to go out in the field and it's like, you know what are we playing for anymore? We don't have a coach, we don't have this, we don't have that. Then guys are starting to start to transfer. That's what you saw a lot when Kiffin had left there. You saw a lot that when Fulmer left and Kiffin came in. And that kind of hurt the Dooley era. That kind of hurt your offensive line a lot. In the Dooley era, a lot of guys left after Kiffin left, and then Dooley had pretty much no offensive line there. So we had a little struggle on offense there. So, I mean, it's a lot of, inside things with the mentality of the team when a coach leaves.
And every coach has his guys. Usually the starters
That's true.
are his guys. And the guys who are backups, they're not his guys. And when your coach goes, and you've been starting, I think there is a tendency to quit. You were on the squad that they loved Coach Fulmer. It looked like the whole team quit against Wyoming. Yeah. But that's the bad side of it. Now, at Orgeron, he's done pretty well as an interim. But it'll be interesting to see if they wind up making a move when they make that move. Let me show you. We put up a poll this week on Twitter. Now, it's Twitter, so this is just a gauge, all right? Thanks, but no thanks. The question was, if Butch Jones managed to turn things around and lead Tennessee to an 8-4 record this year, where would you be? 21% said I would be behind him, backing him in 2018. 29% said I'd still be worried about 2018. 50% say I want a new guy in 2018. They don't care if he does go 8-4. All right, now that may be skewed because Twitter runs a little hot most of the time, for those that didn't know it. But here's my question, and especially you guys who do talk shows and you're around phone calls and that kind of thing. We're to the point where the fan base is actually pulling against Butch Jones?
There's a certain segment of it, John. There's no question. We had on a couple of shows I did after the Florida game, there were 5 people that called and said, I have been a Butch Jones supporter, I'm done. And then that number has grown since after the Georgia game. So there have been a number of people that they're ready to move on. I think some apathy is starting to set in, anger and apathy.
The two A's, you don't want that mix.
And I'm not sure which is worse. Yeah. Because if all of a sudden you start going to a ball game and there's 60,000 people in the stands, that's the apathy that you can't afford if you're a coach. So, but the sentiment against him has certainly grown over the last few weeks.
Well, what gets me is just a little bit of adversity shows up, and everybody's calling for his head. I mean, you go 9. I mean, what were we last year? There we were 9-4 last year, and the previous year you had a very good 9-win season as well. I mean, it's going to happen. I mean, it's just inevitable that you're going to have probably a little hiccup on the road every now and then. I see make a couple changes, just try to make it work. It's just. I don't understand.
Vince, you surprised how hot it got this quickly? I mean, we were talking in the offseason, well, he could survive if he goes 7-5, maybe 8-4 would probably keep him. They're 3-2. Heck, they were 2-0 when people were mad going to Florida. So are you surprised he got this hot this quickly?
A little bit. That's a great question because going into the year, you thought, all right, for some, 8-4 is not going to be good enough. And just like your graphic showed, half of the people are ready to move on from 8-4. I think that's because of the way things have played out. Look, it's not a disaster. The last couple of weeks, last week was embarrassing, no doubt about it. But it's not been a continual disaster. Butch Jones has had success, and it's not a good look to get rid of a guy that's won the number of games that he has and improved the program in a lot of other areas with just it and do it in early October. I think that's a bad look, and fans I think have now jumped on board into thinking that Tennessee might make a move in the middle of the season. I just don't think it's been that bad to get to that level as quickly.
This early,
and the attendance dropped in the UMass game earlier than I would have expected. I thought maybe they were floating around 500 later in the year, maybe you'd start to see the attendance decrease, but they started that earlier.
Yeah, and I don't think anybody looks at Tennessee and says, boy, if we can just go 8-4 forever.
Right.
I mean, nobody wants that, but at the same time, when you look at what he took over, you look at getting top 25 the last 2 years, win your bowl games, and that gets discounted. Mid-level Big Ten doesn't count. You would have counted if he lost. So it's surprising to me that it's turned this quickly when you still could technically have another 8-4 season, which again gets back to it's one of the reasons I think they were wise not to make this move. This team doesn't look good to me moving forward.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think you're going to have to worry about it in an 8-4 season. I don't think you're going to hit that.
So you kind of hit on that, because I think in a lot of cases a lot of fans have lost hope.
Yep.
And so if they've lost hope, then they don't believe in this coach anymore, and they're kind of done with it. But they don't see a team where they're hopeful they can win the East Division, that they're hopeful they can beat an Alabama or run the table in the last 5. And I think that's one reason some of them have thrown in the towel.
Absolutely.
Disappointing, not good enough. That doesn't equal disaster, which is what you do to fire a coach that soon in the season.
Yeah. But here's the thing: we now live in a world where it's either 0 or 100.
Right. That's true.
I heard a national radio guy this week say that Butch Jones should be a high school gym teacher.
Yeah.
There are only 7 coaches in Power 5 conferences that have won 4 or more conference championships in their history, and he's one of the 7. He shouldn't be coaching high school football, or he shouldn't be a gym teacher. He may not be the championship coach Tennessee wants. Mm-hmm. So you can't say, wow, he's Robert Nealon. But you also can't say, they just grabbed a guy off the street and put him out there. That's my problem with it. That and there's a lot of rage and hatred being aimed at a guy who's worked his tail off. He tried to do everything he could. It's just not clicking at the moment. If you feel like you need to make a change, I get that. I don't get the rage. But tell you what, when we come back, part of the rage, at least this week, came from a 41-0 loss to Georgia. Now that'll make you mad. We'll talk about what the talent level on those teams shows us. It's very interesting. Come on back.
From games to weddings to parties, and from executive travel to a night on the town, Chariots of Hire is the simplest, most cost-effective, safest way to turn an event into a lasting memory. Their dozens of vehicles allow you to select the perfect ride for your need, and their superior service guarantees you'll arrive in style. More options, more drivers, more experience. If it's worth doing, it's worth doing right. Chariots of Hire.
For more than 40 years, East Tennesseans have trusted Madisonville Marine. They offer great prices, terrific customer service, and the biggest selection of boats in the area. Boats like G3 John boats, built Gator tough. G3 Johns include all the features you could want from a workhorse boat. Massive live well capacity, lockable storage, even a midship fuel tank that allows for smoother running. See for yourself at Madisonville Marine. There's no better place to buy a boat.
Come experience the Lexus life at Lexus of Knoxville, a level of service and satisfaction that goes above and beyond the everyday. We're a consecutive 5-time Elite of Lexus Award winner and rated 4.7 out of 5 stars for customer satisfaction according to Google. Lexus of Knoxville offers a limited lifetime powertrain warranty on all new and select pre-owned vehicles with unlimited miles. Enjoy express service, extended service hours with courtesy vehicles, and much more. Come experience the Lexus life at lexusofknoxville.com.
Have you been hurt in a car wreck? Bill Hodson Associates, the car wreck attorneys, have helped thousands of people all over Knoxville and East Tennessee.
From downtown to the duck pond, Broadway has about 30 traffic lights. In our 30 years, we've helped people hurt at most of these intersections, and we're ready to help you right now.
Experience you can trust. Bill Hodson Associates. When it comes to your business, no one provides better security and life safety systems than Safety Systems. Protect your employees, your products, and your records with a single phone call. Professional technicians ready to design, install, and monitor your cutting-edge fire and security systems. Electric locks and surveillance cameras. Emergency and after-hours response and repairs. Trust Safety Systems, East Tennessee's leader in security and life safety systems.
Welcome back into the Sports Source Kickoff presented by Madisonville Marine. This segment brought to you by Chariots of Hire. And folks, you know, just for a night on the town, do it upright. Do something special. If you're going to do something, do it right. It's the old saying, and I think it's true. You know, Chariots of Hire is tremendous for any kind of social activity you might have going on, whether it's bachelor parties, of course, to a night on the town with your best girl. If you guys are having an anniversary, make it a special anniversary. Let somebody else do the driving. And that doesn't mean a big, long stretch limo or a motor coach necessarily. They have sedans, SUVs. It's really a great way, and not too expensive way, to create a lasting memory, more so than just, let's go to dinner. Make it a special dinner. Chariots of Hire, they do great work. Check them out, chariotsofhire.com. Okay, after the Vols fell 41-0 to Georgia last week, I wanted to see just how that was possible in terms of talent. So I used the numbers from rivals.com to compare the starting lineups. And let's take a look at the offensive star ratings. You see the average star rating, Georgia's on the left, obviously, Tennessee on the right. The average star rating is down at the bottom, and I've also put an average there so you can see how old the classes are. So Tennessee on offense, typically their starters were signed earlier than the starters who were at Georgia, so they're older. But Georgia, 4.18 stars to 3.45 stars. That's a pretty big difference in terms of these averages. Not a great look when you look down that list and see Georgia's had a coaching change in that. You're supposed to have attrition when you have a coaching change. I get that a couple guys left early. You got Jennings on the shelf. But year 5 versus year 2, you wouldn't expect to see Georgia with more talent on offense, would you?
I mean, that was one of the factors why I thought Tennessee was in bigger trouble last week in that game, was because of the talent discrepancy. Plus, you had injuries on top of that. Plus, Tennessee wasn't playing well. In Georgia, those players are playing well. That's the key.
Well,
is they're getting the most out of those 5- and 4-star players. They also have depth of those level of players as well, whereas Tennessee's had a number of guys that have the star ratings, just haven't performed it, whether it's not being able to stay healthy or just not good enough. They just haven't gotten the most of their talent.
All right, well, then let me put up the defensive stars, and this is the example of that. On offense, you didn't have as many star rankings as Georgia did. On defense, you have more, according to Rivals at least. And you look there, look at the 5 stars. Georgia has 1 in Trenton Thompson. You got 2 in Kongbo and McKenzie. And Jimmy, they haven't played like 5 stars.
No, they haven't. And I don't know if it's misevaluation. I don't know if it's lack of player development. But neither one of them have played to that level. Trent Thompson's played better at his 5-star level than Tennessee's 2 guys have. And so sometimes I'm not married to the star ratings, but I do think they can be a pretty good indicator. And in this case, it would tell you that Tennessee has not done a good job with player development. I think there have been some hits and misses. Look, Vickers is a better player now than he was, but there are not enough of those. And there are more people that have high star ratings that have not played at that star rating at Tennessee. And that's one reason, to me, Georgia is a much better football team than Tennessee right now. But even when I looked at them and I take out star ratings, Georgia's more talented than Tennessee.
Just watching.
Yeah, we're just watching them, to me.
LaMarcus, your thoughts on when you see a team that you're in year 5, their coach is in year 2, and yet they've got more stars on offense than you did. That's a concern. How is that possible? And then also, you look on the other side of defense, flip it. You've got more stars and you're not getting it done. Are you more worried about the fact the recruiting might not have – you've had more attrition on offense, or are you more worried that you may not be coaching them up on defense? Or both?
Jimmy made a good point about the stars. I've seen guys that are 5 stars that play like 1 stars. I've seen guys that are 1 stars come out and look All-American. It's all about mentality. I mean, if you go out and look at all the coaching and look at the different programs, everybody's pretty much doing almost the same thing as far as drills, how they push their players and things of that nature. But it really comes down, as a player, it comes down to mentality. Am I going to come at this guy like I'm supposed to, or am I going to, you know, shuffle off? I'm thinking about everything I'm supposed to do instead of reacting to what I was supposed to do. Georgia looked like they were playing with reaction instead of thinking, oh, I don't want to mess up, I don't want to mess up, and then go out there and mess up, basically. I don't know how you guys feel about that, but that's what I see. You know, I see guys that have the talent, have the ability, but it's just not putting it on the field. I don't know if it's a mental block. I don't know if it's they're afraid that their coaches are going to get on them in the film session. Right. You know, I just don't know what it is.
I do think, Marcus, that Georgia is maximizing their roster more than Tennessee right now. But if you see the teams that win championships, it's the teams that have a bunch of 5 stars and a whole lot of 4 stars, and they have depth, and those guys play up to that level.
And they play their depth.
They play their depth.
Tennessee doesn't always do.
I was getting ready to say depth. That's the biggest thing.
And,
you know?
and trusting your players as well. Tennessee has not played a lot of players, and those teams that bring in 4- and 5-star talent, those guys make impacts early on. Where are Tennessee's impact freshmen? There are a couple, but they're not enough considering all the injuries and issues they've had. So this is about Tennessee wanting to win championships. Those teams have not only high talent but great coaching. I think you need both, not one or the other.
Yeah, look, the star ratings, I've always said, it's not a GPS.
Right.
But it's a compass.
It's a compass.
It'll point you. It's not perfect, but you take it as a, and when you look at what this staff has done, I think you do have to wonder, and we talked about it last Sunday on the Sports Horse, that if you're not willing to play your backups, then how are you ever going to build depth? There's a risk involved whatever you do. If you play the guy who's not as great an athlete, he may not be able to make a play. If you play the young guy who is a better athlete but might not know what he's doing, yeah, he could bust and lead to something bad. But you've got to take that risk and get those guys on the field. Georgia was playing guys, they were rotating guys on that defense all day long.
First quarter. Well, what I don't get is you'll have a guy go out for, say, a Georgia or Alabama, and you're like, whew, that guy went out, and then all of a sudden the freshman comes in, he's the best thing to happen in college football. Where is that at Tennessee? You know, I haven't seen it, to be honest with you.
That's the thing. You saw it in 2014 because they didn't have anything to lose, and they needed an influx of talent. Since then, I think they've gotten more and more conservative about who they let on the field. So when you talk about players maybe a little timid, I'm not so sure the coaching staff hasn't been timid in terms of who gets on the field, and it's cost them, I'm afraid. All right, when we come back, does Butch Jones have a path to survival? Will he make it through the season? If so, how difficult is that path? Very, in my opinion. Come on back, we'll discuss.
When it comes to your home, no one provides better security and audio-video systems than Safety Systems. Control everything using your tablet or smartphone, whether it's a hidden TV or the temperature in your home. Lighting, doors that open and close, lock and unlock, cameras that allow you to watch your home from wherever you may be, all at the touch of a button. Trust Safety Systems, East Tennessee's leader in security and audio-video systems.
For more than 40 years, East Tennesseans have trusted Madisonville Marine. They offer great prices, terrific customer service, and the biggest selection of boats in the area. Boats like Suncatcher pontoons, ultra luxurious, sophisticated, and stylish. You won't find a more family-friendly pontoon boat, all with cutting-edge technology designed to enhance the quality of your time on the water. See for yourself at Madisonville Marine. There's no better place to buy a boat.
Have you been hurt in a car wreck? Bill Hodson Associates, the car wreck attorneys, have helped thousands of people all over Knoxville and East Tennessee.
Two of America's busiest interstate highways intersect in Knoxville. Interstate speed keeps traffic moving, but it can also result in terrible wrecks. We've helped a lot of people hurt in these wrecks, and we're ready to help you right now.
Experience you can trust. Bill Hodson Associates.
Come experience the Lexus life at Lexus of Knoxville, a level of service and satisfaction that goes above and beyond the everyday. We're a consecutive 5-time Elite of Lexus Award winner and rated 4.7 out of 5 stars for customer satisfaction according to Google. Lexus of Knoxville offers a limited lifetime powertrain warranty on all new and select pre-owned vehicles with unlimited miles. Enjoy express service, extended service hours with courtesy vehicles, and much more. Come experience the Lexus life at lexusofknoxville.com.
From games to weddings to parties, and from executive travel to a night on the town, Chariots of Hire is the simplest, most cost-effective, safest way to turn an event into a lasting memory. Their dozens of vehicles allow you to select the perfect ride for your need, and their superior service guarantees you'll arrive in style. More options, more drivers, more experience. If it's worth doing, it's worth doing right. Chariots of Hire.
And welcome back into the Sports Source Kickoff. This segment brought to you by Lexus of Knoxville. Lifetime warranties, college graduate finance programs, military appreciation programs, best cars in Knoxville, best prices in Knoxville. Lexus of Knoxville, they do an outstanding job. Been there for many, many, many years. They've won so many awards I can't even list them here. I want you to go to lexusofknoxville.com and take a look at all the deals they've got going on right now. They got a big fall savings event going on, as a matter of fact. But you can also drive out there. Check them out, lexusofknoxville.com. You won't find better cars at a better dealership anywhere in East Tennessee. All right, want to remind folks that tomorrow, it's only the most important sports source ever. Been on for 15 years. That's no exaggeration there. We're going to have information and facts regarding Butch Jones, past coaching changes at Tennessee, UT spending, past coaching searches at UT, how history, in my opinion, is already repeating, and it's not a good thing. What will happen and why, you'll know it by watching us before it actually happens. It's going to be full Karnak the Magnificent. We're going to bring out the crystal balls. Tomorrow at 11 o'clock on Channel 6, you do want to flip over and watch the Sports Source. It's going to be a very interesting show, tons of information for you. A lot of people out there saying things. I've heard stuff this week that's like, well, that's clearly not true. That's not true either. That didn't happen. We'll give you facts. You can look them up afterwards. Know that they're true. Sports Source tomorrow. All right. Guys, Jimmy and I said last Sunday, we don't think Butch Jones survives the season. You still in that camp?
I think it's going to be difficult.
Yeah.
Doubtful was my word.
Doubtful was your word, which I didn't give you that as a choice, but you cavalier asked the question. LaMarcus, do you think he survives the season?
I think he does. I think he does.
Says the VFL.
I think he does. I really do think he does. I mean, who are you going to bring in? That's my big question.
Vince, what do you think? You think he survives?
Obviously, you guys know the South Carolina game is huge. It's going to tell us a lot about.
Well, that's part two. That's the next question.
Okay, all right.
Do you think he's going to survive?
In the end, I don't see a scenario because I think we've already seen how the attendance has already dropped off, and if the losses continue, the attendance is going to drop even more. Then you start talking about the financial aspect of it. So I think it's going to be tough.
It's dominoes.
Yeah.
It's dominoes. If you lose more, I think you're already going to lose crowd for South Carolina. If you keep losing games, you lose more crowd, you lose more money, more business owners in the area get upset because they're losing money. Yeah. That's where it all goes south, and there's not much you can do about it with the fans. It's very much we talk about the fans feel they don't have any power. They do. Now there are boosters who have more power. But fans have some power if they don't show up over there. That eats a coach alive. It happened to Philip Fulmer. Very quickly, though, what is the path? And I'll start with you since you started going there. If he is to survive, what does he have to do, or what must he avoid to make it to 2018, Vince?
Well, the attendance. Keep avoiding the attendance dropping off significantly. And the only way you do that is you look good and win against South Carolina. And it might need to be both, not just one or the other, not a 14-13 win over South Carolina, but you might need to look like you haven't looked all year in putting a game together. And then maybe look competitive against Alabama, get to 8 wins, and then at least give some fans some hope that this team has come together during this bye week enough.
And what's he have to do, guys?
What I think he has to do is he's going to have to bring some excitement on offense. You know what I mean? We bring some excitement on offense, and basically you're going to put people in the seats and you're going to give a little bit of excitement for next season. So that's what I think.
Oh, Lord. Yeah, I'm thinking he's going to have a hard time winning, and you guys are talking style points down here. I'm not even thinking style points. I'm thinking 14-13 would be a big step forward for them.
It would, but I'm just saying.
Oh, I know. I agree with you.
There was excitement on offense Dooley's last year.
Yeah, didn't work much. We've only got about 30 seconds here, though. Who can he lose to? Alabama, okay.
That's about the only one that's going to be really acceptable.
Yeah. And you better not lose 60-6 either.
Now if he wins all of them, but Alabama, he's 9-3, right?
Yeah.
8-4, I think he could survive it. The attendance is something to watch for, as Vince pointed out. I felt that way all along. If you lose the crowd, you probably lose your job. But if you don't play well against South Carolina, you lose to Alabama, and then you lose to Kentucky that next week. Ouch.
Well, there are a lot of folks saying, well, you can't lose to South Carolina, Kentucky, or Vanderbilt. So he can lose to Missouri? He can lose
Or
to Southern
Southern
Miss?
Miss?
Yeah, I mean, LSU might be forgiven, but that depends on where they are.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, if they're looking bad still and you lose to Ed Orgeron, that's not going to work. So, all right, we'll discuss more of this tomorrow, 11 a.m. on WATE 6. Thanks for watching us here on Fox 43. We'll see you next week and tomorrow. We'll see you both. Thanks.
This has been a presentation of Fox 43 Sports.